What is up? What is going on, everybody? I am back with the Trident Talk, my weekly Mariners podcast that I'm going to be doing. Trying to do it, like I said, at least once a week, maybe once every other week. Just to keep up with the Mariners. This is a Mariners channel, so we've got to have some Mariners talk on it. There's not a ton that's going on in the Mariners world, but there are some things that I think are worth, discussing a little bit. And we are the offseason's wrapping up, and there's still some big names out there. There's still moves to be made, but we're what, 2.5 months from opening day? I mean, think about what was 2.5 months ago from right now. We're in mid-January. So a month ago would have been mid-December. And I mean, early November. So the equivalence of early November to now is the difference between now and opening day. It is going to be here very, very quickly. Spring training starting up soon. Pitchers and catchers reporting soon. So it's go time. We're getting there. Before I get started, do me a favor. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Free, easy way to help support the channel. If you're new here or if you've been here a while, hit that like button for me. That truly does help a lot and gets the video out to more people. So if you just want to support the channel, just do me a favor and hit that like button for me. So thank you to everybody that has done all those things, or even just watching helps tremendously. So first thing to talk about is arbitration deals. According to Daniel Kramer, this was earlier in the week. The Mariners reached agreements with, let's see, I think we got 7 players here. Ty France for $6.7 million, Luis Urias for $5 million, Logan Gilbert for $4.05 million, Josh Rojas 3.1, Justin Topa 1.25, excuse me, Trent Thornton 1.2, and Sam Haggerty 900,000. So all those players are now under contract for next season. Yeah, it's a little weird that guys like Luis Urias get more than Logan Gilbert. It's just the way it works out with service time and all that stuff. So nothing to be too up in arms about. Good news is that's all taken care of for the Mariners. They don't have to go to any arbitration hearings or anything now to battle this. Do I think it matters long term? No, but maybe avoid any issues with some of these players and frustration if they're wanting more money and the organization's only want to give them 3.5 mil and they want 4.4. Everything's settled. Those guys are here. No arbitration hearings necessary. That was all the players that would have been arbitration eligible. So they are now all locked into their contracts for 2024. All seem like pretty fair deals. Like I said, yeah, you certainly, obviously, if they hit the market, Logan Gilbert is going to get more than, Urias and probably all those guys. But, that's not what that's all based on and everything. So, but that's good to see. The Mariners have also made a couple additions to the bullpen, a couple lefties, Kirby Snead and Jonathan Diaz. Snead most recently with the A's, Toronto before that, Diaz with the Angels. Both lefties, both have been pretty meh in the big leagues. Snead did pitch 44 innings in 2022 with a 4.61 FIP. And 11 innings last year was a 4.37 FIP. Diaz has about 35 big league innings under his belt with a 4.8 FIP. Listen, I will say this, do these signings move the needle? No. Am I super excited about either one? No. But we have seen countless times where we think the bullpen is set, and then you've got other guys that have to come in and make and help make the bullpen or help contribute. Last year, did a lot of us think that Gabe Spire, Justin Topa, Trent Thornton, Taylor Saucedo would be getting big innings for this team in a pennant race? No, we had the year before. You had Swanson, you had Penn Murphy, Matt Festa, Diego Castillo, guys like that. And then year to year, that's bullpen arms. Outside of Brash and Munoz, just because of how electrifying they are and their stuff is, any one of these guys in this pen could come and go. It's why I always say, if you guys have watched my channel, I talk about bullpens are so hard to judge. I've seen bullpens go from the best in the league to 21st in the league the next year. It's just how it is. You're talking about guys that are pitching, 40, 45 innings, usually, give or take a year. There's going to be randomness to it. There's going to be just, with starters, you're getting, 200 innings. You think about what a reliever pitches, they're pitching the equivalent of 4 or 5 starts for some of these starters over a year. And we see all the time, starters have, tendencies to go through weeks where they struggle. So a bullpen guy take that amount of starts, that little amount, and that's their whole season. it's going to happen. So as much as guys like who's it, Bolton, they got from the Pirates, Vargas from the D-backs, Snead and Diaz here look like kind of nothing burgers, they are guys that could end up having to contribute next season. And the Mariners have done a good job getting guys into the lab, as they call it, and finding a certain pitch that can work for them. That they've had great success doing that. So would not be shocked at all if either one of those guys in August, September is a big contributor to their bullpen. And hopefully the Mariners can find something with them, maybe a pitch or something that they just haven't, fully utilized yet, or a better way to throw it. I don't know. Hopefully they can do that with a couple of these guys here. And like I said, while it looks like nothing, and I certainly not claiming it moves the needle, little signings like that can sometimes turn out to be, big moves. Listen, the Mariners offseason last year, Justin Topa was probably their best free agent signing. So, like I said, it was a move that, or he was a trade, I think. Wasn't Topa a trade? I don't even remember. I think it was a trade. I think Spire was a trade. Topa's free agent. I could look it up. I didn't think I'd be talking about that, so didn't look it up. But you know what I'm getting at. Anyways. So next thing to talk about here is what's left. What can the Mariners do from here on out? Because we're getting down to the nitty gritty. There are not a lot of big name free agents. There's a few, but you're kind of now picking at that, the scraps that are left. And there's trades potentially as well, but there's a couple names I want to look at that the Mariners, I think, could realistically add that makes sense for this roster. So far we've got the Mitch Garver signing. I like it. It takes care of the DH spot. You have the Robbie Ray for Mitch Haniger trade, which has some risk, right? Mitch Haniger has not been healthy the last couple seasons, but if you can get 2022, definitely 2021 Haniger, I love the trade. I do like it. I like the move. There is some risk. Listen, anytime you're trading a pitcher that's not likely to pitch the next season, you're not going to get a ton back necessarily. So you got to take that risk back on. I think Mitch Haniger can absolutely work out. Like Mitch Haniger's the type of guy you want to put your faith into. It's sort of like Bobby Wagner with the Seahawks a little bit. Like I'll ride or die with those guys, but there is some risk, but I like it. Love the Caballero for Luke Raley trade. And then there was the salary dump trades, which again, no problem dumping Marco's salary, Evan White's salary. I wish it didn't come at the expense of Jared Kelenic. I'm not the biggest Kelenic guy in the world, but I feel like, you could have kept him or gotten more for him just on his own. And then the Geno Suarez trade, which again, I don't mind it, but I don't necessarily love what they've done after it. And again, it's just Geno kind of given away. I do like Vargas, but I don't like, I don't like trading everyday players for relievers. Usually I'm the other way around. And Zaval's a good defensive catcher, but again, it is what it is. So right now you're looking at infield of Ty France at first. You've got Rojas at second, JP at short, and Urias at third. Obviously, first base, it seems pretty clear they're going to roll with Ty again. I'm fine with it. Went to drive line the offseason. Let's see if we got some things fixed there. And I think Ty probably has more value to the Mariners than he would if you tried to trade him. So I'm fine with that. JP at short, obviously. Second and third, I have some questions. I like Josh Rojas. I like the trade, like him. Do I trust him to be an everyday player at second base or, platooning with Dylan Moore? Luis Urias, I like that trade. I would trade Campbell for Urias every day, but I don't know if I fully trust him as the everyday third baseman. I'd like to see Urias and Rojas be the platoon, whether at third or second, wherever they're both better suited to be. Probably third, I would think. So I wouldn't mind the Mariners adding a little more. This has all been a long way for me to say I'd like to see the Mariners add some infield depth. Now you do have Dylan Moore, you do have Sam Haggerty, so maybe they look at that as the depth. Again, don't shoot the messenger here. I'm just relaying what they might look at it as. And the couple names I'm going to talk about, truthfully, may not be any better than a Dylan Moore. So this may not make sense, but it's just a couple free agents that are out there that the Mariners could potentially add. First one is Ahmed Rosario. He's still out there. He's mainly played shortstop, but he did play 36 games at second base last year. He slashed 263, 305, 378 last year for an 88 WRC plus, which is not good. That is not a good offensive year, and his defense numbers weren't great either. It's expected. If you go to Fangraphs, look at the Steamer projections, projected to be a good defensive player this year. Projected to be worth 2.3 WAR, but just a 96 WRC plus. So essentially, they're projecting him to be about a league average hitter, slightly under, with good defense. But it does give you a fairly valuable player overall. Into your lineup, and it might improve two positions. Rosario can hold down second base. You could have days where Rojas and him platoon. Urias can play third. You kind of, and again, I know I went into the offseason saying I'm kind of done with the platoons, but listen, with what this team has put out budget wise, there's no other way to do it. And again, don't shoot the messenger. I have no say in any of this. So with what ownership has laid out there, they're going to have to roll with some platoon. So you could kind of make it work with more Rojas, Urias, Rosario, find ways to mix and match where you get that. You get the most out of all these players. I think you could get Rosario on a 1-year deal, 7-8 million. Don't love it. But again, the free agent market is a little barren right now. You still have Matt Chapman out there. I just don't know if that's realistic for this team to be spending 5-6 years, 100 million on a player. I just doesn't appear like they're going to. Maybe they surprise us. But if you want free agents, this is what's out there. It's Ahmed Rosario. It's the next guy I'm going to talk about, which is Gio Urshela. That's what's out there. There are trades. You could make a trade. But remember, too, when you're making trades, you got to give up pieces, right? And if you guys listened to the interview with Justin Hollander the other day, he said something really interesting, and that was teams are not making trades for young prospects. They want major league ready players. Now, we did see a trade go down between the Dodgers and Cubs, but that was young prospects for kind of young prospects. That does happen. But I think Hollander's right. You're not seeing teams give up major league talent for players in the farm that are still 3-4 years away. The Mariners farm system looks really good, but it's a lot of guys that are still a couple of years away from being at the big league level, and teams want major league ready talent. So I want Luis Urias would be a great addition to this team if you could pull off that trade. It's one of the funniest Savant pages you'll see. I'm not going to pull it up, but it's not a lot of hard contact, but my gosh, does Urias put the bat on the ball. I'd be totally fine with it. Would love Luis Urias at second base for this team, even if you don't quite get the player you got last year. But Luis Urias is going to cost you. He is going to cost you probably a major league player or something like that. So you have to balance it, right? Yes, you're going to be better at second base, but does that cost you Miller or Wu? Are you willing to do that? I don't know if it would, but it's probably going to cost you someone at the major league level. Is Ahmed Rosario a worse player than Luis Urias? Yes, but you might be able to get him for 1 year, $6 million, and maybe the difference is close enough where, hey, we didn't have to give up any prospects or anything like that, and we add a little depth. Gio Urshela is another one. Projected to be about a 100 WRC plus, so essentially a league average player. Mainly has played third base, second, short, and even a lot of first base, actually, with the Angels last year. He's been with Cleveland, New York, and the Angels. I want to say maybe he was with Miami as well. I don't remember. I don't have it up in front of me at the moment. Urshela could maybe go to third, second base. And again, these aren't great guys that are necessarily going to, like be super exciting, but they're depth pieces that can not only improve a position, but allow you, like I said, to maybe platoon Rojas, Urias, and maximize their values a little bit more. And then there's the trade cancel I could talk about. You can still look at Isaac Paredes. I don't know if the Rays are going to do that. You have Polanco in Minnesota, and then I've seen the Luis Urias rumors. Would love it. Absolutely love it. But again, those guys cost you players, whereas guys like Rosario or Shella are free. Do I think they're worse than the players you would trade for? Yes. But again, I shouldn't say free. They cost you money, not players, is what I meant to say. So those, I would like to see, bottom line here, regardless of who it is, I would like to see the Mariners add some infield depth. I do believe Jerry hinted at that a couple weeks ago, that was some place where he'd like to look, and the bullpen. Listen, with the bullpen, you're going to be getting the Kirby Sneeds, the Jonathan Diaz's. You're not going to see big money spent on the bullpen. They've never done it, and their bullpens have been relatively successful. But the infield will be interesting. We'll see if they do have maybe a trade up their sleeves. Again, I think those players, Polanco, Paredes, Arise, are much better I'm going to mess up Arise and Urias a bunch if they do make that move. I think I've already done it in this video. But, again, like Justin Hollander said, teams are, and that was an interesting quote to me too, because I think he was kind of hinting at that. Like, we've tried. Teams want major league proven talent. And I really do think it's true. And I'm sure there are examples of teams that have traded players for just young prospects. But I think that's more mid-level tier players. Like, had the Mariners traded Teoscar Hernandez last year, I would not have expected major league talent back. I would expect some sort of C plus prospect that's in double A. But if you're trading a guy like Luis Urias, who is an all-star, an everyday player for you on the Marlins, one of your better hitters, I don't think you're just wanting guys that are 3-4 years away, unless you just blow them away and send them, Cole Emerson, Cole Young, Tyler Locklear. I'll never not get Tyler Lockett and Tyler Locklear confused. Lazardo Montes, sure, they'll take that, but you don't want to do that either. Teams are wanting major league ready talent in these trades. And I think it's hard. I mentioned that when we were talking about the Luis Castillo possibility of being traded. That was kind of what I talked about. It's just, you're trading a major league level pitcher. Yeah, you're getting offense, then you go sign somebody, but it's like all this work, just to get, how much better are you getting? And I don't know what the deal would have to be. I'm sorry if I'm still getting over this cold. I swear this is driving me nuts. But, and again, I don't know if it would cost you Brian Wu, but if you trade Wu for your Rise, how much better are you? You know what I mean? So yeah, your offense better. Now your pitching depth has been sucked up and you're relying on Emerson Hancock, or you're going to have to go out and sign another pitcher. And with what we've seen from this ownership group, that's not going to be Blake Snell. It would be, maybe a Martin Perez or someone. So now your rotation would be a lot worse. So it's that balancing act of what you do. Free agents can be risky, but you're not giving up anything to get him. It's why at the end of the day, was Mitch Garver my favorite hitter in this offseason? No, but it was a pretty team-friendly deal. You didn't have to trade away any prospects to get him, and you upgrade a position. Do I think, I've probably said this 20 times now, do I think Jorge Polanco is better than Ahmed Rosario? Absolutely. But Rosario, you sign him, you plug him in there, and it gives you a pretty good defensive player that can at least hold his own offensively and can hit lefties and be a nice platoon partner. Whereas Polanco, you're getting a better player, but what are you giving up to do it? So just kind of the risk reward you have to balance when you do this. So not much else to really talk about that's going on. I don't expect a lot more moves. I think we've kind of wrapped it up, unless Jerry and Justin have a trick up their sleeves. There was the Winker Suarez trade, which I think was right before free agency. Spring training. But I think we knew something had to be going on because they hadn't done a lot. You could truthfully make a case they could still use another outfielder, but Adam Duvall's out there. That would be an interesting signing. So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. I would expect some more bullpen arms added to the to the lab. And I do think an infielder is added. I do think they are trying to trade for one, but I think that's why Justin made that comment about teams just aren't really giving up talent for minor leaguers. They want major league talent back. And I'm sorry for rambling about this, but I think a lot of it too is we're in the days of social media where you have instant reactions from fans, and fans, of all teams don't want to see talent traded for guys that are going to be 3 years away. It's happened in all sports. I use the analogy a lot, not on here, but my personal life. If it was modern age, Tom Landry would have never lasted at the Dallas Cowboys. He had 4 or 5 years before he produced a winning team. No way in modern day would that fly. Everything is quick. It's got to be quick gratification. So, teams want guys coming back that can help them right away. And if the Marlins are going to trade Luis Urias, they're going to want someone that they can go to their fan base and say, hey, you're going to like this Brian Wu kid we got back. So, that's it. That's all I've got. Have a great weekend, everybody. Remember to subscribe, hit the like button. Sorry, this video didn't have much in it, but just want to talk some Mariners. And I'll be back next week as well. I'm going to be on hopefully with a couple other channels, just getting some things situated there. So check those out. And I'll obviously, once we get close to that, I'll link them and make sure you subscribe to those channels as well. So have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy the football playoffs, and I will see you next time. Go Mariners. Peace.